So our next speaker, our next storyteller is no stranger to the storytelling stage. And Jeff Ryder, who's coming up in a minute, I have to thank him because he helped me greatly this afternoon when I had a moment of like, wait, how will I make this all work together? And he sat there as a really amazing sounding board and kind of just sort of was like, yeah, no, it all fits together. You got it. He is going to come up and share a really beautiful story about his father. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rebecca, for doing this. I was super happy to help her, but come on, y'all. Thank you guys so much. Narrative is not just my life's work. Story is my religion, and this is my church. Thank you guys for being here. My dad is kind of a layered guy. He's an interesting dude. And I've been referring to him for years as the geek Clint Eastwood. I just saw my mom a couple days ago, and my mom has not seen the full beard, and she said to me, "Man, you look like your dad." And I had not heard that before, so that was pretty great. I started thinking about that and thinking about this story. When I was young, my parents got divorced. I was maybe 4 or 5. And so I had that kind of divorced kid's experience of your dad would come and pick you up, and you would go away for the weekend to do whatever you were going to do. And Dad would plan these big adventures because Dad was kind of nerdy. And my probably earliest and certainly best memory of my dad picking me up for the ride on Friday afternoon, I said, "Dad, what are we going to do this weekend?" And he said, "I have this movie I want to show you. It's about a Scotsman who lives forever unless you chop his head off with a great big giant sword. And it's full of these fucking badass immortal guys. And there's this giant crazy Russian dude. And James Bond is in it. And they're like Japanese things. And the whole ride in the car is my dad geeking out about Highlander. And I'm 11 years old. And I'm like, man, my dad is fucking cool. I'm a giant nerd. And my dad's a nerd. And this is great. And clearly I got a lot of that from him. And now when I'm geeky about things, a lot of that comes from my old man. As I got a little bit older, and I'm my father's only son, my dad, who's kind of a tough guy and sort of a badass on a lot of levels, would sort of espouse to me these very man-style beliefs. My dad owned an auto garage and was a mechanic. He taught me to be a grease monkey. My 21st birthday, my father and I put a 305 small block V8 into the Chevrolet half-ton Silverado that I was driving at the time. And I can say that whole sentence like a badass because my dad taught me like all those words. And he used to tell me these things that he thought were really important. He would, at that point, we were watching a lot of Gunsmoke and Clint Eastwood movies, and Dad was real into that kind of stuff. And he used to tell me, "Boy, unless you're a dashing international spy, grown men drink beer and brown liquor." So we're doing this for Dad. And I bought into that sort of bravado of his, and I believed it a lot. I was working for my dad at the garage at the time, like I was talking about. And I went away to college, and then I came back, and my sisters stayed in the Dallas area, but I've been gone for a long time. Now I'm sort of old enough to actually drink brown liquor in bars in public, and I'm hanging out with my sister, Jody. I said, "Hey, Jody, we should grab Dad, and we should go to the bar, and we should do a shot, because we're 25, doing a shot sounds like a really good idea. Let's do shots." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Come on, man, let's get Dad, let's go to the bar, let's do a shot. Grown men drink beer and brown liquor. It's time to cowboy up. Let's get this done." And she said, "You know that Dad just drinks Zima, right?" Because the other thing that my dad is completely full of shit. And now I know where I get it from, which is nice. It was a little rough for me at the time, but we hung out, we had a good time. And I started to sort of realize that there are a lot of these layers to my old man. He's a real interesting guy. The other thing that my dad did for years and years and years was smoke cigarettes, which he shouldn't do at all. He was skinny as a stick because he was a 3-pack-a-day smoker. He gave me my first cigarette when I was 12. I went to the movies once with him around this at the same time, and it's one of those when they started having stadium movie theaters. He couldn't walk up about the 3rd or 4th row. Beyond that, he was too tired. And I said, "Maybe I should quit smoking." And Dad, maybe you should quit smoking. And he said, No, I'm fine, don't worry about it. And that was when, around the time when I would call my mother, or call my stepmother and talk to her, I would say, "Okay, Dad will tell me how he's doing, but I need you to tell me how he's doing. Because he's going to cowboy up, and he's going to be macho on me, and whatever." About this time, I found out from my stepmother that my dad had been to visit his oncologist, and that he had cancer in his lymph nodes. He had 3 tumors in various places in his body, And at that point, he had pretty advanced COPD as well, so he had to carry an oxygen tank all the time, and he had one of those rubber hoses around his face. And they said to him, with the cancer that you have, it's not really spreading a whole lot right now, but we can't give you radiation because with your COPD, your body just won't tolerate it. And we can't give you chemotherapy because with your COPD, your body just won't tolerate it. And we can't give you surgery to remove your tumors because we can't put you under a low anesthetic because your body simply won't recover. The best that we can do is we can give you a local anesthetic and remove one of the tumors in your lymph nodes in your neck. And my dad rolled up into the hospital, got a local, cowboyed the fuck up, and they cut this tumor out of his neck while he was awake. And then he spent about a year telling the story like he had taken a bullet in a Western and he was chomping on a piece of leather the whole time. And they were pouring whiskey in the hole, you know. He thought having cancer was great because he got to do this fucking badass thing. And I was like, really? That's not how that works, man. And I would call him and I would say, Dad, how's it going? He's like, oh, you know, pretty good. What do you think about the new Monte Carlo? Or Alien 4 came out. But you remember when we wrote that script about how they could clone Ripley? And it was way better than that Joss Whedon punk. And I was like, come on, Dad, Joss Whedon made Buffy. He's cool. And she's like, yeah, I know. But that was the only things that we could talk about for a little while because he just wouldn't talk to me so much about his health. I've done a bunch of stories like this, and I've talked about my dad a few times in different places. At conferences, and we were going to these things, that other conference in Austin that we don't talk about anymore, I used to make sure right before that happened to call my mom and call my dad and let them know, hey guys, that South by is about to start, and it's gonna be 10 days, I'm gonna be out of pocket, y'all are not gonna hear from me. And don't worry, everything's okay. And usually I would get cool or nothing, or how come you don't ever come see me? That was my mom. But the last email I ever got from my dad was a response to one of those emails. And he said, and it's 2 paragraphs, and it pretty much outlines like the super tough macho thing and then the kind of nerd underneath. And whether you agree with very many of his opinions or not, this is how it went. The first paragraph was the hard part. And he said, just wanted to let you know what's going on here in Carrollton, Texas. I've quit my job and taken full disability from my insurance and stopped working. And I just kind of want to laze around for a little while. Actually, my oncologist told me that I really should just try to take it easy and get rest so that I don't inadvertently shorten my lifespan. My most recent ultrasound and CT tests are good. They show no growth in the current tumors that we have and no new tumors anywhere. My brain, pelvis, and stomach are fine. And my breathing is a little labored these days, but mostly I just take a lot of naps. At that point, he had months to live. And the next paragraph starts, we went and saw Watchmen last night. Totally fucking awesome. So much better than I thought it was going to be. Crazy visionary. I can't believe that ever got made. That comic is beyond anything else you would ever imagine. We went in the theater late on a Sunday, and we were the oldest people in the room. I think I'm just younger than most old people I know. And that was my dad's story, and that's mine too. Thanks, y'all.